Innovation, imagination, wonder. These are just some of the words used to describe Dr. Harvey Passes. Dr. Passes explores interesting people and ideas that will stimulate you. He questions the people who develop, create, and employ novel concepts in business and everyday lives. He especially loves to speak with successful people. How did they do it? How can you do it too? So let's join Dr. Harvey Passes in his quest of wonder and curiosity as we watch Dr. Harvey Passes Presents.
So I'm going for a drive on the east end of Long Island along the beautiful North Fork. And let's see, in the car is my wife and my two kids. And the kids, as what do kids do, and they're little ones, they scream out, oh, hungry. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? And we go to a restaurant on the North Fork of Long Island out in East Marion that we had heard about, and it's a legendary restaurant. And we went there, and boy, oh boy, the place was jammed. Luckily we got a table. And it was called the Hellenic Snack Bar. And one of my favorite foods, Greek. We sit down there and we're eating and enjoying, and I just can't believe it. I feel like I'm in Astoria, and yet the ambiance is far better. You're out in the country, and we're just having the time of our lives. And I want to know who the owner is. So I go over and I do my little prowling and my sniffing around, and I find out that there is a lady there, an older lady, she's probably about my age, maybe drop a little, but anyway, and her husband. And they're running the show, but that their son, George, really runs the joint. And he's not there. And being a good Greek mama, she shoves this book in my face. And she says, and I said, the food's great. I'd love to do a show on Greek cooking. It's one of my favorite cuisines. And she says, here, read the book. So I look at the book. And the next thing I know, it turns out her son wrote this fabulous book all about the region, about the culture, about the people. You're going to learn about it today. Anyway, I read the book, thought it was great, became friends with her son George, and we've had some wine together and some food together, and our families have a lot in common, and it's great. And I pleaded with him. Actually, it wasn't so difficult to plead with him to get him to come down here. And I read the book, and I said, I want to do a show on this book because it was great. It was terrific. So I want to introduce to you George Giannaris. But how do you pronounce it in Greek? Giannaris?
Giannaris.
Giannaris. Okay, we'll call you Giannaris. Okay, George, it is a pleasure.
Pleasure to meet you.
It's
Thank
a
you for having me.
pleasure. Terrific. I'm so glad that you came down here. This book, let me hold up a clean copy. This book is called Fairy Tales. No, not fairy tales, Fairy Tales. And the book is very interesting because it deals with the ferry. Now, what ferry? It deals with the life all around the North Fork and environs from the North Fork Ferry, which will take you to which places, George?
The ferry at Orient Point will take you to New London primarily.
Okay.
From there, of course, it'll take you to the rest of the country.
Take you right, and certainly New England,
Yes,
all
absolutely.
around New England.
Yes.
And also Cinderella Island.
Cinderella Island.
We'll
that's
talk
right.
about that later.
Yes.
Okay, and these are real places. So I started reading this book, and if you've watched the show, you know how crazy I am about Long Island, anything Long Island. And this gentleman here has got such great information about this restaurant that his dad created how many years ago?
32 years ago.
32 years ago. And it was a little 6-seat stool, a little snack bar by the side of a golf course or something.
Yes.
And we'll get more into that too. And this restaurant grew to become this institution of over 30 years. And he basically grew up there, even though he would spend many a time in Astoria and at times in Greece. And this book is all about the people out there. It's about your life. It's about your family. It's about Greeks. It's like Fairy Tales is your version of my big fat Greek wedding, the Fairy Tales version. And it was so wonderful, I couldn't put the book down. The writing was excellent. Your writing is engaging. The reader gets involved, gets to know your family and your world. And it was absolutely terrific. So first, let's begin, now that I've given this great preamble to the book. Okay. We already spoke about how the name Fairy Tales came about, because it's your life due to the ferry. What was the motivation for you to write this book? I mean, here you are making souvlaki and everything else, lamb, and great lamb, by the way. Why write a book? Now it says you're author.
Well, it kind of happened by accident. I had a group of people come in very late, around closing time, and they stayed till about midnight. And I decided that there were some things on my mind that I really wanted to capture, mostly for my own sake, but really primarily for my children's sake. So I went into my back office, the command center, which you've read about, and I just started typing away. And I had a good 3 or 4 chapters written within that 2.5 hour time frame that it took the customers to leave. And when I approached my mother with the stuff I had written, because a lot of that surrounded my life growing up, and she had no recollection of any of it. And it dawned on me that it would only be a matter of time
Before it was gone.
Before it was gone from my memory. So I decided to continue to write, and I just started penning thoughts and the history of the restaurant, the evolution of the restaurant, the evolution of the North Fork region, how it had such a pivotal, dramatic effect on my life. And as I was writing page after page, and I had substantiated quite a bit of information, it dawned on me that every facet of my life was somehow, maybe obviously or inadvertently, affected by the ferry terminal down the road. It determines when I'm busy. It determines what time I close. It keeps me sustained a bit, besides the faithful local customers that we have. A lot of traffic moves through the region because of that ferry.
Absolutely.
And it also keeps me entertained. We use it a lot. We go over to New England, to Connecticut, to Vermont skiing, that whole region. And it wouldn't have been so easy without that ferry.
Oh, it would have been a horror show for you.
A horror show, yeah.
You got to drive back in through the city.
Exactly.
Or, so yeah, Queens at the very least.
4 hours to get back to where you started.
It's crazy.
It is.
That's absolutely insane. Okay, so now we understand fairy tales, and we understand the motivation to write a really, really interesting book on local flavor. I have a comment, and then I have a question. The question will be about your writing skills. But the comment is, yes, the book is about what we discussed, about family, about friends, about clientele, about region, about you're an avid spear fisherman,
Yes.
and other things that you did. But there's something else about this book that really caught me. This is a book about feelings. This is about you opening up your viscera and letting the world know you took a chance. You wrote things in here that are really from the heart. And it's because of that you touched me. And I'm sure other people who I've seen approach you in the restaurant say, I'm up to such and such part, and wow, it's really interesting, it's great. Because it's no baloney. It's a book about feelings, which is terrific. Now, you have a degree in engineering?
Yes, electrical engineering.
Okay, why aren't you an electrical engineer?
Well, yeah. Well, when I went into engineering, the salary was very, very lucrative, and when I graduated, we had given political asylum to Iraq. We had invaded.
From the restaurant, you gave no, go ahead.
Yeah, right. Well, the government.
Right, not the restaurant.
Yeah, we had. It was Desert Storm at the time, and when the war was over, before it was over, we had given political asylum to the Middle Eastern students who had a really a good knack for the sciences. They flooded our universities, and by the time I had graduated, there really wasn't a salary in engineering. The starting salary was about $20,000. So I was at a crossroad. I watched my father, I'm an only child, no brothers or sisters, and I watched him pour his life into this business, and I watched it also get out of control because it grew quite rapidly. And I had a decision to make. I'd look at my father and he'd say, you don't have to do this for a living, but wink, wink, it would be nice if you did this for a living.
Right.
I also liked the freedom it gave me. In the winter, we're slow, so I had a lot of time off. So I chose to pursue my career in the restaurant business instead of as an electrical engineer.
I got to tell you, two of the hardest businesses that I can think of, there's plenty more, but two is owning a winery, and the other is owning a restaurant. I think that is murder. And you have a chapter in the book that is so fabulous. I mean, you would think that this would be a sitcom. There's a part in here called Not a Very Nice Day. chapter 19. And you just take each section, paragraph, if you will, and you base it upon the time of the day. And you start at 8:30 a.m. and you give your beats per minute for the heart rate. Yeah. And it shows on each section, 8:30 a.m., then you go into, oh, wait a minute, that's not true. I'm sorry, I did the wrong thing. It starts at 5:30 a.m. Yeah. And you woke up, your beats per minute were 56. You woke up, 5:35 a.m., you read, and your beats went up to 58. Then 5:45, you prayed, especially when it's Memorial Day weekend and a Sunday, and on and on and on. And you take the entire day through almost 24 hours, but you do go to sleep. But it goes through all of this, and you take each section of what happens. And really how crazy it is in the restaurant business and how much you need people, not only to be customers, but to help you. And you're not only the owner, but you got the stinkiest job in the world because you work there, but you're also the owner. So you got the worst boss in the world, you.
That's right.
It stinks, but it's just a very, very interesting book. Now, how long did it take you to write this book?
The actual writing part was quite easy because it was from the heart, like you said, and it only took about a year to actually finish the book. Mm-hmm. The editing part took a long time because it was never really designed to be published. So I had to, people say to me, you really didn't hold back. And I said, oh, yeah, I did. I had to edit a lot of the stuff out because it was really more of a diary.
Yes.
So even though it is very personal, a lot of the information had to be edited because it involved personal lives of too many people. And a lot of people do not want to have their name in print.
Of course not. Absolutely. That makes good sense. I'm impressed with your writing skills, though. I got to tell you that. You're not reading a piece of Dickens' work here. You're reading something from someone's heart. And I used the word at the beginning of the show, engaging. And I found all of it to be very engaging, like you're talking to me. I got a chance to meet your wife and your kids, which is just fabulous. And then when I met them before the show, I felt as if I've always known them, which is really a good compliment. Let's discuss some of the interesting things in the book. First of all, a passion of yours is spearfishing.
Yes.
Why?
Well, I grew up with a snorkel in my mouth.
Right.
We came out here every single summer, and even if you're an adult, if you were to just take a mask and a snorkel and just stay on the shore, what you would see is fascinating. It's beautiful. You're in 3 feet of water, and there's so much to see. Well, the next obvious level is to go deeper, and then one step beyond that would be to actually shoot the fish that you see.
Right.
So about 10 years ago, my cousin happens to be a phenomenal spear fisherman, and he lives in Connecticut. And I always admired how he did it, his techniques, and I always wanted to do it. So I took it up. I started spear fishing, more in more challenging regions. Closer to Fisher's Island, there's a location there called the Race.
Right, I remember reading about that.
Yeah, and that's where there happens to be a lot of striped bass, which is the predominant species of spear fishermen on the North Fork. The other species tend to be limited by DEC regulations. Not striped bass is too, but the season's open all summer. Mm-hmm. So we go out on the boat, and the kids love it. And my wife loves to be out on the water, mm-hmm. and I love to be underwater. So whenever I have a free chance, I visit either the Race or Cinderella Island, mm-hmm. and I free dive for striped bass. I have footage on my website as well.
Oh wow, that'd be fascinating to see. So a lot of the fish you catch, you serve or you eat yourself?
We eat ourselves. I can't serve it in the restaurant because
it's a legality?
Yeah, every striped bass that comes into the restaurant has to have a commercial fisherman's tag on it.
No kidding, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very, very interesting. Very interesting. What is some of the more interesting things give me a chapter that I could just go on. They're all interesting. Your father with the bull. That's quickly. Just tell the story about your father with the bull.
Well, one of the local farmers is the big farming family, the Sepnowskis. They have a farm called Sep's Farm Stand. Well, they had a bull, and before
a real bull,
and before the parking lot adjacent to the restaurant was a parking lot, it was a field, and they had staked their bull in the field to graze all summer long.
So they had a stake. knock it in the ground, and then where's the ring? The bull's nose or something?
Around its neck.
Around its neck.
Yeah.
Okay, and the bull couldn't pull the stake out.
Well, it apparently could, because one day it did, and it started visiting the restaurant, and I guess it had gotten very comfortable with
smells and everything?
Well, more so with people going to visit it. So he just walked right up and stuck his nose into the restaurant door, which at the time was still a shack.
A big giant bull.
Big giant bull. So my father decided that the bull had to go back, and he took the bull and grabbed it by the chain.
The horns.
I wish.
Like it was a dog.
Like, yeah, and went to go hammer the stake back into the ground, and unfortunately the bull charged him and nearly killed him. So, you know, by God's grace, the bull stopped before he trampled him.
Well, you said in the book that your father put his head down, and it looked like he was no, it says something that your father assumed some kind of a position.
Put his hands on his back. He put his hands up, and the bull stopped. And well, I joke in the book. My father has massive forearms, so
right.
I thought the bull respected those forearms. But yeah, and he charged him a second time. Yeah, my father had gone for a physical. As a matter of fact, I never mentioned this in the book. And they said at some point in his life he had a very mild stroke, and a heart attack. I shouldn't say it a stroke. And they felt that that it was partially he attributes it to that day because he thought he was going to die.
Oh, I would think so too. Yeah. The bull charging you. That, I mean, that's absolutely just incredible. Just incredible. You brought some delicacies here, by the way.
Yeah.
And was that eggplant?
Well, yeah, I use that as a base.
It's decoration.
It's decoration.
Yeah, I love eggplant. What are some of the things you have? We can have a sip of wine while we're talking, discussing. What are some of the things that you have that we could taste? I don't know that we can put this on the table. It's just, it's giant.
Okay.
But you know what? Let me hold it up.
Okay.
Whoa. Oh, hernia. Watch the wine. Okay. Let's see if we can get a shot of this here first, and then we'll put it back down. Wow, this looks absolutely fantastic. And you've got your own wine here, which is very nice. So you've got is this a Chardonnay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
For you here. Actually, you know what we should do? I'm going to divide this up because there'll be no place to put the wine otherwise.
Okay.
Take some of that. And let's see. What do we have here? Grape leaves?
Yeah, we make homemade stuffed grape leaves. And we have cheese pies in the form of beggars' purses, as well as spinach pies.
Wow.
And Grecian meatballs.
Mm-hmm.
All of these are on our menu, except in a different form. This is more so we can pick at it.
And this is
these are mini skewers with chicken and pork.
Wow.
And you dip them in our famous garlic yogurt sauce, which is known as tzatziki.
Tzatziki. Wow. Let's try this here. Okay. This looks good. I don't want to get stabbed. Let me taste this. Mmm. Mm-mm. You go finish the show. I'll eat.
I'll read excerpts.
We sit there and read excerpts. I love Greek food. Let me put this back over here. I love Greek food. I find Greek food to be, if not among the freshest cuisine. And it doesn't take a lot of fancy sauces and things like that. Best is I love a striped bass with salt, pepper, oregano, olive oil, maybe a little bit of mustard, grilled.
The best.
I'm in heaven. I'm in absolute heaven. That I think is just a fantastic way to eat. These are terrific. I can't sit here on television eating all the food. It's very good. And the breads are good. Everything is just fantastic. Well, the crew is happy to know that we got lunch. That's fantastic. Are you interested in continuing to do more writing?
I am. It's been a topic that a lot of my I guess customers have been asking. People who've read the book said, "So what's next?" It's a little difficult to top this because this was something that was so dear to me, and I find that I would want to write something that I could be as equally as passionate about.
Tell me a little bit. I really enjoyed reading about your grandfather.
Oh.
Tell me, your grandfather's an interesting character.
Yeah.
Very real old line Greek.
Yes.
I mean, guy came here with nothing, and what is he, doorman or something? And he worked at one of the hotels?
The bell captain at the St. Regis Hotel.
Okay, it's no slouch hotel. It's a big-time hotel.
Yeah.
Bell captain, no less. And it's just amazing. You told me he wound up owning buildings.
Yep.
In Astoria?
2 apartment buildings, yeah.
Okay, wound up from being a doorman to becoming, a landowner. And obviously, the man wound up having some degree of wealth. But it's interesting that he was a tough guy.
Yes.
But yet he was also soft in a very subtle kind of way.
Yes.
He always knew how to give, but boy, he took.
Yeah.
Right?
Very European.
Very European. Very European. A little bit about him.
Well, a lot of people say I was really harsh on my grandfather in the book. I brought up a lot of his interesting personality quirks and things that he's done in my life. The funny thing is, though, my love for my grandfather is tremendous.
It's evident.
I do love him dearly. He's 92 years old. He's not very approachable as I was growing up, but you know, he had a passion for his grandchildren, all of us, and he just is such a dear man, but very old school European. And anyone who's had any ethnicity in their background, it doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be Greek,
Correct.
knows what that feels like.
Yep.
And knows that sometimes it can be very, very challenging. They don't take well to new concepts or ideas. They certainly want to make sure that you marry who they want.
Right. Especially Greeks.
Especially Greeks. That was always an ongoing issue. And I promised my mother, by the way, I said to her, you know, I'll never marry a Greek woman. And I didn't. I married a Cyprian woman. So that's something which is pretty much Greek, but it's funny. My wife is from Cyprus. But at the time we were getting married, my grandfather kept force feeding me these women like he was going down the street and picking them out. You know, would just marry a Greek girl, marry a Greek girl.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. But yeah. So, but he's always been there for me, and he's always been a positive influence and an inspiration in my life on how to be, you know, a stable, hardworking father. He was a good example of that.
Did you ever feel trapped in the restaurant business because of your father?
You know, my dad is an exceptional Greek man. He could have been of the same mold as my grandfather, but he's not. He's a gentle, tender, merciful person with a heart of gold and a very strong work ethic. My father would have been extremely content in any path I chose. Did I feel trapped? No, I felt obligated. Not so much as, oh, I have to do what my father wants, but more because he's such a great man. And my mother's such a great woman. I really felt like the only thing I could do as a son is continue his legacy.
You know, that's one of the reasons why I think you wrote this book also, because inadvertently it's really given you, I'm not going to say a way out, because I don't think you'd want to leave your life that you've created. And it's a good life, considering lots of other things you could be doing. But this book gives you this, like I'm a dentist, but I have my TV show. And it gives me the ability to meet people like you and to have conversations, in which I think the book has taken you out of, you know, flipping lamb, to go out and do something else, and yet still keep the restaurant going, which I think is terrific. Who are some of the interesting people that you've mentioned? I mean, from Gus to what's the gentleman's name who fixes everything?
Martin Krakowski.
That's right. Cricket. I mean, all these people absolutely could be on a sitcom show.
Yes.
They're all there, and it's like ongoing. It's just amazing. You have this one man you call Cricket. Anything breaks, he comes over, he fixes it.
He's brilliant. He's still doing it. He's in his 80s. He is the quintessential grandfather. I mean, the kind of man
that you wished you had.
You wish you had. Well, you know, I can't say. I love my grandfather.
We didn't
dearly,
know, but you can always have many grandfathers.
That's right. He's more like a father to me. He's inspired me my whole life, Cricket. He's just a great, and his wife, Peggy, they're just wonderful people. You want to talk about hardworking, diligent, humble people. That's the cream of the crop there.
Now, we only have 5 minutes left.
Oh,
and
wow.
we're out of time. But before we do that, I want you to sign this book for me.
My pleasure.
Because you got a pen.
Sure.
Okay. And just sign it there, because I appreciate that. Wherever you got a clean page, and that would be great. And put a date on it.
Oh, sure.
I think that the book is fun. It's enjoyable. It gives one a glimpse into the lifestyle of the North Fork of Long Island. It gives one into the lifestyle of a Greek family. And you learn about culture, and you learn about one foot's in Greece, the other foot's in the United States. And are you being ripped apart, or are you somehow joining things together? And the book really shows a wrestling with yourself and with your world, and your world full of obligation, and your world also full of promise and what you want to do. And along the way, one reads the stories of these people who interact with you to show you what you can do with your life and how you learn, which I think is fantastic. Do you see your kids, Yanni and Savas?
Yes.
Moving in this direction, or are you like your father, who's very liberal in his thinking and says, I just want them to be happy, and yet the obligation will come in on the kids?
No, I think at this point of my career, I've made a solid decision to allow my children the freedom to, the true liberated freedom to pick whatever they choose to do. I will ensure to the best of my ability that they're as educated as they can be.
Right.
And I will expose their strengths as much as possible. Mm-hmm. But whatever they choose to do is perfectly okay with me.
I'm going to do something right now, and you tell me if you want to do it or not. We've been mentioning Cinderella Island, and people are right now watching and saying, darn it, you mentioned Cinderella Island. You know, I know you're thinking about that, and now we're going to ask George. First of all, we got about 3 minutes left. Cinderella Island, is it a dump? Is it a beautiful place? Describe it.
Cinderella Island is a magnificent location. It's one of the most inspirational parts on the northeast coast. It's the most beautiful place I love to visit, and I go there as frequently as I can. Mm-hmm. In the book, I call it I hide the name intentionally to mask it even further from any further tourist attack.
So people shouldn't go there.
People should go there. Boy, I just hope they don't all go at once.
And it's not too far from the east end of Long Island.
Oh, it's a 40-mile boat trip.
40 miles is nothing.
No.
It's nothing. Do you want to give the name?
Well, I'd rather leave it for the viewers. The readers, I think, will be able to figure it out on their own if they read the
Okay, so you want to keep a mystery.
Yeah, keep it a little.
Okay. I'll just give you a hint. It's just one name to the island, and that's it. It could be Cinderella, but don't look that up on the map. You won't find it. Do the natives call it Cinderella?
No.
Is that you?
I called it Cinderella because part of the name gives a hint as to where it is.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay. It's just terrific. George, it's been terrific. We're out of time. I've totally enjoyed you, enjoyed speaking with you, enjoyed tasting your food, and I'm looking forward to spending more time with you. It's been terrific. Any last comment with the minute or so that we have left to just tell people about the east end of Long Island and about visiting and lifestyle and everything?
Absolutely. I'm typically at the restaurant every day except for Wednesday and Thursday. Those are my days off. And if you were to come in, I would love to meet you in person, and I would also love to autograph your book if you'd like. You can pick it up at the restaurant, or you can pick it up on Amazon. It is available on Amazon and other local bookstores. I'm trying to keep it local.
Okay.
And it's also at some of the wineries.
Okay. All right. Well, let's not get into too much commercialism, but that's great. I look forward to speaking with your parents. And maybe we can do a show on having you cook, and you can show us how you cook some of your wonderful dishes.
I'd love to.
Would you like that?
I would enjoy that a lot.
That would be terrific. You're a heck of a lot of fun, and got a great family.
Oh, thank you.
It's terrific.
It's been such a pleasure meeting you and getting to be on your show. Thank you.
I appreciate that. And again, one of the best compliments that I give is that I like to tell my guests, only when it's apropos, is that I learned something from you. From the book, learned about your humanity, and the way you do things, which I think is just fantastic. You're some kind of guy.
Thank you.
So again, my compliments to you, and I'm thrilled to have met you as well.
Thank you.
And I hope that you enjoyed meeting George. And come on out to the east end of Long Island and see, as I always say, the east end of Long Island is our little bit of paradise that we have here in the world. And before it gets even destroyed with more development, catch it quick before poof, it's gone. Dr. Pass is saying so long for now, and just like George Giannaris, that is, whatever you do it with passion, or what's the use? So long for now, again, my friend.
Thank you.
Good pleasure.